unity shattered on Brexit D-Day as furious states let rip over blackmail on migration. The leaders of 4 Eastern European states let rip at Brussels today as they vowed never be cowed by blackmail and diktat over its controversial migration policies. Poland, Hungary, Slovakia and the Czech Republic, who together make up the influential Visegrad Group, issued a blistering statement accusing bureaucrats of trying to bully them into submission. The 4 are furious at suggestions in Brussels that their aid funding could be cut if they persist with their refusal to accept asylum seekers under the bloc's mandatory relocation scheme. Their outburst comes after neighbor Austria provoked a furious response from bureaucrats by announcing plans to pull out of the quota system altogether, a move EU officials said would be illegal. The 2 ballooning rows demonstrate the extent to which migration policy remains a hugely divisive issue in Europe, with precious few member states prepared to open their doors and come to Germany's aid. Last year EU leaders agreed via a controversial majority vote to set up a refugee quota system, under which all member states are obliged to take in a set number of people arriving in Europe. The move was fiercely opposed by many Eastern European countries at the time and the battle has raged on ever since, with many member states refusing to take any of their allocation. Exasperated officials and MEPs, who are desperate to put in place an EU-wide migration system which will reduce the burden on Germany, have now floated the idea of cutting their social funding in retaliation. But in response the leaders of the Visegrad countries yesterday called an extraordinary press conference, during which they let rip at bureaucrats over its meddling in their migration policies. Polish Prime Minister Beata Szydło, who is also waging an extraordinary diplomatic war with the EU over the re-election of Donald Tusk, said Eastern Europe will never accept blackmail and diktat from Brussels. Standing next to her, the Czech Prime Minister Bohuslav Sobotka made it clear that all 4 countries oppose linking the debate about migration to European funds. And Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico fumed, "This is blackmail that we reject in the name of the Slovak government." Hungary's firebrand PM, Viktor Orban, revealed that his country will now start detaining migrants on camps it has set up on its southern border with Serbia, a plan that has sparked dismay from human rights groups. He said, "From now on, Hungary is in a position to react even if the agreement between the EU and Turkey does not work. We are able to stop any wave of migrants on the Serbian-Hungarian border." The row once more threatens to shatter the fragile sense of European unity in the aftermath of the Rome summit, and provides more headaches for Brussels on the day that Britain is set to formally trigger Article 50. The EU's migrant relocation scheme was launched in 2015 after more than 1 million people arrived on the continent, and so far some 160,000 refugees have been assigned to member states. However, just 13,500 of those have been relocated with the September deadline looming, with almost none of the countries involved having taken in their agreed share.